Hey folks, I think I'm live now. I think so. Okay, hey everybody. So, City Council is meeting for, it's June 10th, 2026. Holy crap, my hair looks like hell. Somebody could have said something. Anyways, yeah, weird freaking start to the meeting. So, about the only thing that hang on a second. I can't friggin' look at my hair. Okay, so basically, what was the start to the meeting? Yeah, so I was turning up because I wanted to see the debate on the F.W. Johnson Collegiate pilot project where they gave high school students free bus passes. And we're like, hey, how is this going to improve attendance? I had some significant questions and concerns. Talked about this on the Queen City Improvement Bureau last week. You can find that at queencityiv.com under podcasts. And there were a lot of delegations who were showing up to talk about how they supported that pilot project and just supported the concept of, free transit, free youth in general. Yeah, and then at the start of the meeting, the mayor's like, okay, here's a bunch of stuff that we're going to take off today's agenda and we're going to put at a future meeting. Can't remember the day, it was like the 14th or something like that. No, it couldn't be the 14th because it's June. It's got to be like the 24th. It's got to be the 24th. Anyways, grinding coffee. I'm making a coffee. This will be my fourth today if I'm sounding a little, hyper. Anyways, yeah, so they just took it off the agenda, and you watch like a whole little stream of people who'd come to speak in favor of the pilot just walking out of City Hall. So that must have been disappointing for them. It was disappointing for me. So I don't know why that was taken off the agenda. Probably that it was going to take up too much time. Sometimes stuff like this happens where they have to reduce the agenda because I don't know, the mayor has to be somewhere or something like that. I don't know. There was no explanation given. Also, there's this motion from Councillor Bizzo, some kind of infrastructure protection motion, which I read weeks ago, because that's it came forward weeks ago and was postponed, and now it's here and it's being postponed again. So I can't even remember what's in it because no freaking memory in this brain. Yeah. So those two things got taken off the agenda. And then most of what's on today's council agenda was consent agenda stuff, right? So it's all in blue. It was just down the list. It was just all blue. That's odd. And it's just, I think it's just a function of a lot of the stuff that's been coming to executive committee and whatnot lately have been information reports, motions, tell us about this. And so you get a report on this. And so they didn't really need a lot of debate, or they were debated at executive committee. It's the summertime now. Council's not doing as much as they normally do. Okay, let me get my basket. Yeah, I've had a lot of coffee today. So the one thing that was debated at length was this funding for the 2027 Grey Cup. So apparently in 2025, this came to council, should we bid on it, in a private session, and they decided in private session, and it sounds like it was not a unanimous decision of council, that yes, they would bid on the 2027 Grey Cup. Councillor Turnbull felt that we should have that this is jumping the gun, because we just had the Grey Cup in 2022. And so if, in the regular process of things with Grey Cuppery, that we should have gotten it in 2029 or something like that. And that would be a better time to have it because we've got the indoor aquatic facility is going to be being built right next to where the Grey Cup is going to be happening. And so it would have been smarter to wait, but we didn't. And we won the bid. Surprise! And so now the city is was deciding today, was firming up their commitment to spend $1.5 million. And that's cash and in kind. And it sounds like the in kind is mainly like the police. They're like 300 to 400,000 or something like that. I can't remember what they said. But it was some sub $1 million of policing that have to be spent on this. Always tamp your grinds. If you want a good coffee. This is the Cafe La Roboto. If you're new to these live streams, this is my manual coffee maker. You put boiling water in here over top of your grounds. So I've got the grounds, I've tamped them down. You take this little doohickey, your little screen here, put that on top of your grounds. And when the water boils, I'll pour that on top of this, and then I'll put it in this little contraption, lock it in here, and then press my coffee through. Makes a very good espresso. What else? Councilor's a Kidney-ac. She doesn't want to see this 1.5. Well, it's like whatever, 1.1, $1.2 million coming off the mill rate, because she says, we're going into another really difficult budget this year. So you don't want to be putting, the extra tax burden. $1.5 million or 1.1, you're pushing a third of a mill rate, I think, at that amount of money. So that's not an insignificant, 0.3% property tax increase for the Grey Cup. That's not an insignificant increase to the mill rate. Yeah. And you got some pushback on it, right? Because you had Councillor Turnbull, who's kind of, raising concerns about how, we're already putting in lots of money every year of public funding into the stadium, which is kind of the right of city. Hang on a second. That's the Access Hold music was playing in the background there. I don't know if it was coming through the microphone. So it's the Access music that they play when the council is on break. And it's some canned music. Where was I? Yeah. And so, it was kind of this argument that, not a lot of people can go to the Grey Cup because it's very expensive. You can only fit 30,000 people in the stadium. So most Reginans, even though they're putting money into the stadium and into the Grey Cup, are getting no direct benefit from the Grey Cup. The response from administration was that, the people who go to the Grey Cup pay the $12 ticket tax. And so that helps pay down the debt on the the stadium. And so that is a way that everybody benefits, because it cuts down the amount of tax we have to pay in future. And also there's all the spin-off benefits. It's some billions, millions of dollars that we make whenever we have any kind of event in this city. The event goes into a black box that tourism people have, and the box goes chunka, 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 and it spits out some number of millions of dollars of economic benefit. And you just kind of have to accept whatever the black box chunka, chunka, chunka says to you, because nobody knows how these friggin' numbers are friggin' picked, right? I don't know. They should do a workshop where they teach us all how they do their magic. So anyways, the other point that was raised by acting city manager Jim Nickel is that people spend a lot of money on stuff that they, through their taxes, that they don't get direct benefit from. A lot of people don't take the bus, and yet they pay into transit. And this is like that. Okay, this is now locked in. Coffee mug under the extrusion port from the Cavula robot. Now I'm just gonna let this sit here until the grounds get a little bit damp, and I hear the first drip, and then I'll start pushing down with vigor. Here we go. And you know what? I pretty much agree with that. Personally, if you care what I think, and you really shouldn't, but if you do care, I agree. We should probably be putting money into events like Grey Cups and stuff. But at the same time, I think it's very important that every time we pitch in for a Grey Cup, or I don't know, some kind of like special treatment for the stadium or the riders or what have you, that we just remind everybody how that stadium is practically all paid for by property tax dollars here in Regina. That we are contributing enormously to the stadium, and the sort of practical benefit for the city is questionable. There are many ways to calculate it, and I would say that it's probably overbuilt for what we need. Okay, I was going to cheat. This isn't really boiling water. If I wanted to turn this into Americano, it's off boil, but whatever. This will be an adequate coffee. Although, as I've said before, the Cafe La Robot, if you're ever thinking about getting one, I got mine used for a really good price online. But if you're ever thinking of getting an espresso machine that gives you a workout as a bonus, Cafe La Robot. It's a great machine. I love it. Yeah, I think we just need to keep reminding ourselves. Like, there was a footnote to the original funding agreement that the city approved. And it basically said that over the 30-year time horizon of the stadium, that the city will be kicking in like, I can't remember, it was like $400 million in tax money over 30 years, which broke down to like $13 million per year. Let me see. Yeah, that's about right. So 13-point-something million dollars a year is coming out of property taxes to support the stadium. A lot of that, most of that, is just debt servicing, right? So, because the ticket tax only pays the principal of the $100 million loan that the province basically, twisted our arm into getting. Oh, we won't charge you any interest on it, or no, they do. No, we are paying interest on it, but we're getting the province's interest rates. We're getting like the lowest interest rate you could get back then. But we're still paying interest, and that's coming out of property taxes, and we're paying for the operations and maintenance and upkeep and eventual replacement of the stadium. So, damn, that is a great coffee. Yeah, and we just need to keep reminding ourselves that we are spending an insane amount of money, $13 million. That's what, like a 4% mill rate increase every year? Divided by 3.3. Yeah, that's like a 4% mill rate increase every year that we're spending on the stadium. Well, no, it's not a 4% mill rate increase every year because that would like accumulate, but it's like we're spending the equivalent of a 4% mill rate increase on the stadium. Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so we're putting a lot of money. So like when you're wondering things like, well, why don't we have money for the indoor aquatic facility? Why don't we have money for this recreation priority over here? Why don't we have money for playgrounds? Why don't we have money for accessible this and that? There's your thing. There's your answer, right? Like we spent all of our recreation discretionary money on a friggin' stadium for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders contribution back to us, I just mentioned this on Blue Sky. We gave them the naming rights to Mosaic Stadium. So when Mosaic pays money to put their name on the stadium, and they pay like X number of dollars a year, that goes to the riders, and the riders takes that money and then gives it back to us. But the name of the stadium was a public asset. It was our asset. It was the city's asset. The riders were given that public asset, sold it, and are giving it back to us and are saying, aren't we generous? Look at how much money we're putting, like, look at this private investment in the stadium. It's not a private investment. It's our money that they're paying back to us. So we just need to remember that every time, I think. For 30 years, I'm going to keep harping on it, assuming I live that long. And who knows when I drink this much coffee. Okay, so anyways, that passed. The Grey Cup spend, $1.5 million. Whether it will come off the mill rate or come out of the general fund reserve, That will be decided at budget time. Councillor Zakidniak tried to pass a motion to decide it now. She's the only person to vote in favor of it. Yeah. So basically, we're setting. God, I say basically a lot. Hey, so and basically, God. This is it's just it's going to be another friggin' budget fight, right? Okay, so that's it. I don't know what's left. Councillor Rasevich asked to take this utility forecast report off the consent agenda. Well, hang on, let me take a look. I've got the friggin' agenda right here. Motion taken off. Rider thing is done. Oh, Grey Cup. There's some notice of motions. And the Code of Ethics bylaw amendment has to be passed. Okay, so the rest of this meeting could be incredibly short. Yeah. And, I was going to talk about transit to FW Johnson, but that's not going to be discussed this week. It's going to be 2 weeks from now. Oh, concrete reduction. Councillor Mancinelli's concrete reduction motion finally got its final approval. It was a receive and file report. So the administration got his request. They looked at it. They said, okay, this is how much concrete costs. This is how much asphalt costs. These are the other things you could build sidewalks with. Mancinelli said, I just wanted to reduce the amount of concrete we were using to save some bucks and maybe, make things more sustainable because concrete is really bad for the environment. Concrete production is. And, this whole thing got kind of sidelined by discussion of removing sidewalks. My dude, you were the one who brought that up. Nobody else did. Nobody else was talking about removing sidewalks until you brought that to council. So if your whole dream, because on one hand, he's like, oh, this got kind of derailed by talk of, sidewalk removal. But then on the other side, he was like, I kind of wanted to find out from this report, the advantages of getting rid of sidewalks. I didn't really get that from this report. So I don't know what he was after. We had him on the show. You can look back at our archives at queencityib.com. We did have Councillor Mancinelli on. We did have a longish, a mid-length debate on this subject. It got a little prickly for us. We don't typically have especially prickly interviews on the Queen City Improvement Bureau. But we all left as friends. It was fine, right? This is something you can disagree over and not hate each other over. It's just a question of policy, of infrastructure policy. And I was happy to have the debate and would love to have anybody on the show again and have a spicy conversation about the value of sidewalks. And because one thing I didn't get from the report that I would have liked to have seen is, why is it that Regina and virtually every other city in the world uses concrete for their sidewalks? Why is it the natural choice for municipalities? And I didn't get that from this report. Beyond, it lasts 40 years, although it doesn't last 40 years here because our water system is flying apart and our roads are falling apart. Anyways, so that got passed. Councillor Turnbull talked a lot about how she does not support getting rid of sidewalks and made double, triple extra sure that administration is not pursuing that as some kind of hidden agenda behind the scenes. They are not. In fact, administration pointed out that in most cities, they are not considering things like getting rid of sidewalks. They're considering the opposite, figuring out ways to put sidewalks in. That's what we should be doing. If we were a modern city, we would be looking at all the neighborhoods that got built without sidewalks on both sides and going, how can we get sidewalks on the other side? But we're not that city. I don't know what we friggin' do anymore. My God, guys. I don't know how we went from a city with dreams and notions and plans and schemes. We used to, just a couple of years ago, we would debate over, should we be making big plans to expand our recreation infrastructure portfolio? What things should we be investing in to make Regina an awesome city? We're not having those discussions at all anymore. 2 years later, all we're talking about is we're broke. We have no money. We can't spend money on anything. We have no money for anything except trunk lines and lift stations. That's it. Any money that's going to be spent in the future is going to be underground. You will not get to enjoy it except when you're shitting. That's it. That's the whole of Regina's ambition now. Okay, I've ranted far longer than I intended to. Thanks for tuning in. I don't know if anybody is, but thanks to the few of you who are. We're going to go back to City Council now. I imagine they've been in session, and they've probably like answered Rasovich's one question about that dang report, and now they're like moving to adjourn. So, anyways, thanks for tuning in. The Queen City Improvement Bureau, of which I am a co-host with Aidan Morgan, airs Thursday nights on CJTR 91.3 FM, CJTR Access Now Community Radio, tuned into your community. You can find our archive of virtually all of our episodes at queencityib.com under podcasts. If you're looking for any like written material, like rants and stuff in print, you remember reading? It's under memos. And yeah, and we won't be having a show this week because I have a concert that I'm going to. One of my kids is in a concert this weekend or this Thursday, so I won't be doing a show. Aidan may do one on his own. I did one on my own last week without Aidan because he couldn't make it. So last week's episode, I mostly played music from the Infrastructure Songs playlist because I don't want to talk for a full hour, even though I'm pushing it with this thing already. But yeah, the Infrastructure Songs playlist, you can find that on our YouTube page, which is, you're on it right now if you're watching this. YouTube.com/@PDCityHall. You go to playlists, there's a playlist of infrastructure songs, and these are all like popular tunes, little jaunty shanties that people sing about roads and buses and housing and whatnot. There's at least 80 of them, I think, that I've put in there. And that was started by Alan Morgan, who is excellent. And what else? I think that's it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to live tweeting from Blue Sky. I'm PD City Hall there as well. And have a good rest of your day. Thanks again for tuning in. And yeah, I'm probably going to keep doing this, even though I think like 7 people watch them, and they will continue to be frantic and disorganized. Ciao.